Okay, we've got an update to the $80,000 theft that happened at the National Sports Collectors Convention in 2022 in Atlantic City. Remember, we did a video on this a couple weeks ago. This update again, and the original story comes from Sports Collectors Digest. So let me remind you what happened before we get into the update. Rick Giddings, the owner of Gizmo Sports, and I believe is also on the board of directors of the National Sports Collectors Convention, said that at the National in Atlantic City, a man approached his table who he had done business with prior, and he said the guy had two boxes in his arms that he claimed had $100,000 cash in them. The guy hands the cards to the dealer, Rick, and sits down and starts looking through Rick's cards. He sits down, picks out about 30 cards, mostly vintage cards, like some old Mickey Mantles and Roberto Clementes and stuff, mostly raw, I think all raw cards. And the dealer claims these were worth $87,000. So they were probably worth about $8,000. But anyways, the dealer says they're worth $87,000. And the guy says, hey, let me go give these 30 cards to my kid who's about 3 booths down. And the dealer, I guess, thinking, hey, he handed me $100,000 in cash. I guess I'll let him go do that. The guy walks down, presumably hands these cards to his kid or somebody he knows. And now here's the part that I love. The guy comes back and chats with the dealer for about an hour. The dealer, at some point, I guess during this conversation, gets a little worried and says, hey, where's your kid with those cards? The guy says, hey, let me go find him. Walks out the front door of the Atlantic City National, never to be seen again. Apparently, though, he does text the dealer. I guess they have each other's phone number. And he says, I'll be back in the morning to square this up. I guess the dealer at this point gets a little more nervous, looks inside the boxes that's supposed to have $100,000 in cash. And apparently, according to him, there's only $1,000. So after discovering, according to the dealer, there's only $1,000 in these boxes, the dealer calls the Atlantic City Police. They show up on the National on Sunday and begin investigating this alleged $80,000 theft that happened at the Atlantic City National. Well, we have an update, courtesy again of Sports Collectors Digest. A Russell Porter of Willoughby, Ohio, has been charged with second-degree theft and second-degree theft by deception. These charges carry a maximum 10 to 20 years in prison. So some serious penalties here if the book is thrown at this Russell Porter. Again, he has just been charged. To my knowledge, he has not been arrested and he remains free. I do not know how the law works. I do not know if he gets, say, pulled over in Ohio. Does he get extradited to Atlantic City to face these charges? They may not be serious enough for that to happen. So possibly if he never sets foot in Atlantic City again, he might be good. Porter, your lawyer may not advise you to do this, but you're allowed to come on the Sports Card Radio program, talk about what happened here. Gosh, I would have a litany of questions. Again, you're allowed to come on the Sports Card Radio program and share your side of the story on this. If this does go to trial, there's probably about a 0.5 or 1% chance that something like this would go to trial. We at Sports Card Radio, gosh, if the schedule lines up, we'll fly to New Jersey and cover the trial because, gosh, I'd love to give daily updates. A amateur defense lawyer, I think any amateur defense lawyer could come up with a lot of potential defenses for Russell Porter in this case. So very, very interesting story out of the National. We will see where it goes. We'll stay on top of the updates. And if there's a small chance that this goes to some kind of jury trial, if I got nothing to do, I'll fly out to Atlantic City and cover it. Let's talk about the 86-87 Fleer box that was opened the other night. Thanks to those of you who came and watched our live stream Manning cast of that event. We had at one point over 2,100 people watching. We had over 6,500 chat messages. Some of those were worth the price of admission, trust me. And I think if you add up all the live viewers on WhatNot, all the people who were watching on Goldin's live stream, on our live stream, and there might have been other people as well, I think it's probably one of the most watched live events in sports card history. I'm trying to rack my brain of, some of the other kind of big events, but I think to have several thousand people concurrently watching something, is pretty good. So we were certainly happy with it. It was certainly a lot of fun for us. And I think around big events, big news stories, we certainly would like to go live again, where we can bring a lot of people together kind of around one story or one break or kind of one event in the hobby, and really bring kind of the community together. So thank you if you are one of the thousands of people who has watched it either live, or one of the thousands of people who watched the replay of it that's on our YouTube feed. Now, as far as the break itself, there were several kind of funny moments. The WhatNot stream cuts off right as they're cutting into the BBCE wrap.
Here we go. G.I. Joe, come on, baby.
And what we're going to do is you're giving the wrapper with every person.
Yeah, so all the rappers will come with
G.I. Joe one time.
all the rapper for each pack.
For real? What the heck is that?
What you'll see on the WhatNot app.
Okay, cool. We ready?
1108 was the BBC rap number on it.
And if some of my golden staff help me here.
I'll stick around for pack one.
Okay, sure. Okay, forward. Yeah, we'll do it. Here we go. Who you got?
Oh, is that them?
Now, hey, there were lots of cameras in the room. There were several different feeds. They were streaming it on Instagram. Netflix had cameras in the room filming, I guess, the show for Ken Goldin. There was the WhatNot stream. There might have been some other ancillary cameras that we didn't know about it. So you probably could piece together footage of the whole kind of box break and nothing going off screen and nobody kind of, oh, did you dip, Daniel? Did you dip?
You dip, Daniel?
Choose left or right because they're both chewy.
You dip?
So nothing like, that happened, although the optics of it happening live and kind of in the moment, it's certainly shady. I mean, could you imagine that happening to backyard breaks being open there and cutting into the box, and then boom, the stream goes out. So certainly, it's almost kind of a hat tip and a nod to all the big breakers out there who kind of pull off all these group breaks kind of day after day and week after week. And God, could you guys send me any footage of any of these big group breakers stream cutting off right as they're cutting into a high profile box? I bet it would take a long time to find something like that happening. So the optics of it, again, just look shady, especially that we were here because of a shady 86-87 Fleer box that was opened at the National. As far as the box itself, 2 Jordan rookie cards, 3 MJ stickers, so maybe a little light on the MJ rookie cards. 1 came out early, and then 1 came out in the final 2 packs. At one point, Ken Goldin was sitting there with his hands praying that a Jordan was going to come out.
And 2 Jordan stickers, that might be kind of a chip too.
4 packs left.
If you don't get another Jordan sticker.
Bird.
Oh, Kenny's praying, baby. He's sweating. Get Steve on the
Here
line.
we go. Let's see what we got. Larry Bird.
He knows what's in there.
So actually some high pressure and some high drama moments toward the end of the box, because my Lord, if only 1 MJ rookie came out of that box, get Steve Hart on the line to explain that one. So some other circumstantial evidence, that the box was a little weird. Probably less than 5 packs, the gum was stuck to the top card. I mean, the gum just slid off of these things. There was no gum residue on the other cards or gum residue kind of flying out. The gum was never broken in any of these packs, which I think was probably a little weird. I also just think it was a little weird the way they handle the wrapper and the gum. Kenny was treating that better than the cards himself. Kenny was putting about 8 fingerprints on every single Michael Jordan he pulled. But God, the way he pulled the wrappers apart and made sure he never broke the gum, it was almost like they've already used those wrappers and gum itself to wrap another box. But actually, I think the wrappers are going to the winners of those cards, but you get what I'm saying here. Why don't they destroy the wrappers or figure out a way that these are never used again? I think PSA DNA, they put like an ultraviolet thing on some of their autograph items so that you can only see it under black light. I don't know why there isn't a pen or some kind of ink or some kind of sticker that we can put on these wrappers that doesn't destroy them, but if you look at them under light, you know that this is a wrapper that has been opened. So perhaps some technology that maybe a company that is looking to compete with BBCE perhaps employs or thinks about, or maybe there's just something even bigger and better than I can think of. So there wasn't anything totally off about this 86-87 Fleer box that they opened the other night. There wasn't a weird sequence. There wasn't G.I. Joe popping out. There is some circumstantial evidence with the gum and just kind of the weirdness of the box only having 2 Jordans, and just the cards looked almost too clean for having sat around in theory for 30, 40 years. But I'll let some of the experts in 86, 87 Fleer maybe watch the box a little further, look at the cards, maybe get a close-up image of some of them that have been graded, and talk further perhaps if it was a legit box or not. So, besides all that, again, one of the most watched live events in sports card history. We were excited to be a part of it. So we will be back, perhaps with a live event, but probably more videos soon. And until then, have a good weekend.